Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I appreciate you being here. This is David Mitchell, and I'm coming at you straight from the source. We appreciate you. And listen, I have a phenomenal show tonight. Listen, if you're tuning in, you'll be able to see these episodes on all the different platforms. I'm running something a little bit different than the normal podcast. My podcast actually has visual to it. So just bear with me as I continue to build this particular platform. But listen to me right now. If you're tuning in, you're a Rolfe High School graduate, a Dunbar High School graduate, a Trotwood Madison High School graduate. Listen, you're in for a phenomenal treat. If you're from the Dayton, Ohio metropolitan area, you're in for a phenomenal treat. If you're an Ohio State alumni, you're in for a phenomenal treat. If you're a Michigan Wolverine alumni, you're in for a phenomenal treat. Without further ado, let me announce my guests. They're both native Daytonians. Actually played with and against the dad. This is a father and son tandem, a loving family. Glad that they're joining the show. My first guest, I'm going to introduce them basically both at the same time. Dad, Michael McCray Sr., a beautiful individual person, an educator, played high school football at Dayton Rolfe High School, as well as Dayton Dunbar, as well as basketball at both Dunbar as well as Rolfe. Went on to play and have a great collegiate career at The Ohio State University, and went on to have a great career in terms of education and being a principal at the highest level. Now to the son. The son chose, after a phenomenal high school in which he was an Under Armour All-American, okay? Listen, young Big Play McCray, as he had became known as he went to the University of Michigan over rival Ohio State University, in which his dad played and chose. Listen, we're in for a phenomenal treat tonight. Let's get into some family dynamics. Let's see, was there anything going on emotionally with this? I know, because I know them, it is nothing but love. But without further ado, I know you guys can't wait. Listen, let's join right now. Joining the show is Michael McCray Sr. and Big Play McCray, Mike McCray Jr. Appreciate you guys being here. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, man, this is a pleasure. Listen, nephew, it's a pleasure. You guys are family as well. It's just a pleasure. Want to make sure I shout out Jessica Crutcher. What would we do without family, right? Charles Ingram, the whole family, Jalen. Just want to shout out everybody, little Joshy. Listen, and the McCray family. Now, I want to start first with you, Mike Sr. Listen, growing up in Dayton, Ohio, okay, you were a phenomenal two-sport, maybe you played three sports. I don't know. I couldn't keep up. Basketball and football. I played 2 years of football, and that was it. I concentrated on strictly basketball. Can you explain to me what it was like when you chose, after your grade school career, to attend Rolfe High School?
Oh man, that was different times then. Everybody played 2 or 3 sports at that time during the late 70s and in the 80s. And I was going back and forth because my mother is a teacher, educator, and she taught at Dunbar, and I went to Miami Chapel, and that's down the street from Dunbar. We went back and forth about, should I go to Dunbar or go to Rolfe? But there was some conversation with some people from Dunbar, and there was some conversation from some people from Rolfe. I lived down the street from Rolfe, so I was in walking distance of Rolfe. So all the people in my neighborhood that I grew up with, played with around the neighborhood, all going to Rolfe. And then I didn't have opportunity to go to elementary school with them because I left the neighborhood to go over to Miami Chapel. So I always wanted to go hang out with them. But, you know, Rolfe did a little bit better talking. I just remember the track coach coming to see me and said some things that really inspired me. And I decided to go to Rolfe High School. Now, Dave, you did get one thing wrong. I did play 3 sports, and I do have a couple titles and still hold a record in track 4x4.
Wow.
I've been there for since 1982.
Wow.
I was part of the 4x1, the 4x1, 81, 82, and 4x4, 81, 82 championships. And we both won the state both years in that. And also my junior year, I placed 3rd in the 400 in the state.
I knew I may have missed the sport. That's why I said I wasn't sure about you, Mike, because you were so athletic. Now, in going to a school like Rolfe, and for those in the area who are listening that know about Rolfe High School, it's a travesty right now that Rolfe, Fairview, my former high school, even though I graduated from Dayton Temple Christian in '83 after they closed Fairview, Wilbur Wright High School, Kaiser High School, and I may even be missing one, but they closed like 5 high schools. And going back further, even Roosevelt and things. You know, it was so many All-Americans and All-Stars and All-City athletes, All-State athletes that came, and we'll get into that a little later, that came up out of that particular school, my senior. Did you feel any pressure to excel at the school because of previous, the tradition that was at Rolfe? Or was it just in you and you felt as though you was going to be a great athlete anyway?
I didn't feel any pressure. I just felt like I was, well, I'm being honest, it might sound a little bit arrogant. I just thought I was good as everybody else in that building. I ride with some of the guys that was older than me. We go out on the bikes, and they always tell me, you walked in there like you was a senior. And I just walked in there with a lot of confidence in myself and my ability. I was a guy, I didn't play a lot of AAU sports. I didn't run any summer track. I didn't do any of that. I was a neighborhood guy that played in the park, that enjoyed being in the summertime, playing in the park, going to different parks from Princeton to Trenton, the resident park. I'm from the RPP, that's what we say, and in Westwood. So, I was one of them guys. I played Little League Baseball during the summertime, but, I was not one of them guys. I just played sports because I enjoyed it. I didn't really have no aspirations to do anything at that time. I just started really getting into, maybe I might have opportunity to do something, but I just wanted to go play, compete, and be the best I could be. And I didn't have no fears, I guess I could say. I didn't act like a traditional freshman. I walked in there thinking I should be playing, and I'm just as athletic as them. But also I think I walked into high school about 6'1", too. That does help.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel no pressure, but I knew about the white in the 76 teams. I knew about I watched some guys from the neighborhood that ran track. I was a big Marshall Parks fan, going to track meets, see big Marshall Parks coming around that track. Back in the day, they had a hurdle called the 180s. And I used to love watching him come off that curve. But I wasn't thought I had to live up to his expectations or anybody else's expectations from Rolfe. But I knew about it. I knew about the Larry Lees, the Jeff Hagens. I knew about all them guys, but I just knew I had to go do what I had to do. And I always we had a girl in the neighborhood named Dee Dee Nash that was a great basketball player there back in the day. So, you knew you had to go represent for yourself first, and then your family, and then your school. You just had to go do what you had to do at that stage in life. I didn't feel any obligation,
Mm-hmm.
to Rolfe, But I do, I love joy. I love going there. It was a family atmosphere. I just remember walking to school, walking home from practice. I did have a problem walking home from practice, especially basketball practice, because we'd be the last freshman group, would be the last group to play. I didn't want to move up. I wanted to really play with the guys I grew up with.
Yeah.
And I had a problem with throwing rocks at houses and make everybody run all the time after a long practice. But, You know, we used to do that. You know, I remember walking to the homecoming dances and walking home with everybody from the neighborhood. You know, that was some good times. But in the 82, they decided to close it, and that was a difficult time.
Yes.
Because we had a family atmosphere. We established ourselves as a school from academic and athletic standpoint of being really good. And we had to break up from the guys that we were. Some of the guys I came there with, some of the guys in the neighborhood, we all ended up going different places. Most everybody went to Belmont, and my mother wasn't having that. So she made a decision to give my custody to my grandparents, and that's how I got to Dunbar, because that's where all three of my coaches went. So,
well, I appreciate you sharing that.
Great decision, though, Dave. She made a great decision. I'm glad she made a decision with me not knowing about it. She made an excellent decision to see. She said, "You're gonna stay with these guys, and we're gonna see how this work out."
I think it worked out very well for you, Mike. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's give a shout out to those joining in. Jessica Ingram, we want to give a shout out to. Hello, Tony Hoskins. We appreciate you chiming in. Pastor Jesse Watson, we appreciate you so much, God, brother and family. Daryl Fuqua, Big Bruh, we appreciate you, and Darielle, Nisi, Mama. Everybody's going to be tuning in. Let's switch over for a minute. We've covered some of Mike in his high school, Mike Sr. at the powerhouse Ross High School. Mike, big play, McCray. Listen, let me speak to you. Let's take it to, first of all, your high school career. You played, if I'm not mistaken, for Coach Maurice Douglas, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Friend of mine, you know, phenomenal person and coach. That program, Mike, can you speak a little bit about, same as your dad, the tradition at Trotwood Madison Rams, that football program under the tutelage of Coach Maurice Douglas, who we know about many Division I, you know, football players, including yourself. Also, I want you to two-part that question. Do you feel the program is still in good hands and in the right direction? Because if I'm not mistaken, after that, former NFL and Dayton native Coach Jeff Graham took over. How you feel about that?
So the tradition. So before, I really wasn't into football till like middle school, and of course, my dad was a principal at Trotwood, and I used to go to the games all the time. And growing up, and I really didn't want to play football till like middle school, but I knew about like all the guys that ended up going to college. Like, grew up watching Mike Shaw, Roy Roundtree, and all those dudes. Going to Michigan and playing football at Trotwood, and then once I got to high school, I saw myself developing and getting better the older I got. And I kind of like knew, like, the guys that I came in with, we all knew that we wanted to continue that tradition and continue to win and go off to college to keep that tradition going, so the people behind us can keep doing the same thing as well. And Coach, I call him JG because it's like my uncle, but he when he took over, I think they're in good hands. They won 2 state championships since he took over.
Yes.
And they're still continuing the tradition of putting guys in college, and I think it's going to continue as well. So
I appreciate you sharing that. And the reason I tie it in, you have a dad that's principal at Trotwood. You have, you know, Coach Maurice Douglas, former NFL player, and great the way he built the program, you and many others off to college. Another former NFL player comes in Jeff Graham, runs the program. Many players are off to college, state championships, and you say they're doing well. I agree 100%. How many programs have you looked into it across the country, Big Play Mike, that has maybe 2 NFL former players that have run that particular program? Can you think of any just off the top of your head?
In Ohio, I can't really think of any. even when Coach Doug was at Trotwood, Coach Graham was the offensive coordinator. So we had them both at the same time. I can't really think of anybody that I know of in Ohio, at least,
right,
as two former NFL guys.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous advantage.
Hey, Dave, really, they had three. They had, when Mike was there, they had 3 NFL players.
Really?
A Fairview graduate. Alvin Hall was on the coaching staff.
Oh, Alvin was on the coaching staff.
Yeah, Coach Hall was on the staff at that time.
Oh, wow. We definitely want to shout out Alvin Hall, former Detroit Lion and an NFL player, Fairview High School. I did not know them. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. That's one of the greatest high school staffs in the history of football. Has to be.
Yeah, most other coaches on that staff. Also, we had Duke Greg Moore that also played at the University of Cincinnati. We had Zach Logan that played at Purdue. You have people that had that college experience too. That really made that was good too in that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because we had to cover both of you guys in terms of your high school career. Back to you, Big Play Mike. By the time you're a senior, you're an All-American. You're an Under Armour All-American. And you had all kinds of offers. When it came to the decision to choose the University of Michigan, having known that your dad, beloved by The Ohio State University, had a phenomenal career there. And it's ironic. We got so much. This interview is so fun because Jeff Graham and they were teammates there at Ohio State as well. But when you look at the decision, and I know it's family love, but do you feel, just honestly, in your opinion, I'm going to go to Michigan because Ohio State, they waited too long. They waited a bit too long. Seriously, it's okay. I'm your uncle. You can tell me.
I wouldn't say too long. That played a factor a little bit, but for me, I grew up an Ohio State fan, of course, and I kind of grew out of it once I got to high school. Yes, they didn't offer me until after I committed to Michigan, but when their new staff came in with Urban Meyer and all those dudes, I didn't feel like I was wanted. I felt like when they did talk to me, offer me a scholarship, I felt it was more of because of I'm a top player in Ohio, not because of like they actually wanted me. Right. And Michigan felt like home when I went on my visits. The staff made me feel like I was home, and they wanted me. Of course, they made me feel wanted, and I just made the best decision for me, honestly. And honestly, I was highly considering going to Tennessee, but their coaching staff ended up getting fired, so that was out of the question because their new staff didn't recruit me at all. But I was probably about 80% sure I was going to Tennessee before the coaching staff got fired.
Wow. In the way that I see that, is that a lot of times the big schools, they'll wait, and they think a lot of our local stars are going to still commit, because it's The Ohio State University and whatever the school may be. But I like the fact that individuals like yourself are making conscious decisions now, especially now with the portals and all. Young men can go where they want to go with the name and likeness. They can make money for themselves. They have more room. It's harder for coaches, and you're going to be entering into that. And when you already are into it with the movement and things. But going and making that decision, I know that your dad supported you 100%. And that is something that I want to switch it back over to Mike Sr. because, Mike, you can take us back to when he first hit you with Pops. You know it's gonna be Michigan. What did you feel? But then quickly that love probably just kicked in and you supported him anyway.
It was a little disappointing by that time that we didn't receive that offer from Ohio State. But I understand they thought somebody might have been better. They wanted somebody else. They knew he had a legacy. If they would have offered him, he would have took it right then in the spot. I understand that game, and I understand it's a business at times.
Yes.
But I remember when he came and told me. It was I was at work. He came in from he drove himself to school, so he came in and said, "Dad, I made up my mind where I want to go." I thought it was a little bit early. It was in March. I said, "Where you want to go?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I want to go to Michigan."
Yeah.
But I said, "Man, you sure?" He said, "I prayed about it. That's what I feel. That's what I want to do." And I said, "Okay, let's roll then." But I think that Michigan's love started the year before. I think his junior year, one of the coaches and one of his friends went up to Michigan for the Notre Dame game, their first night game in Michigan, and Roy Roundtree, a Trotwood grad, caught the game winner in the end zone. And the next day when they come back, Mike pulls up with all this Michigan stuff on. I'm like, wait a minute, you can't walk in the house with all that on. So, I think that little bit of relationship was built right there in his junior year. But that's my son. That's my only child.
Yes.
Very easy to support him in his decision. Yes. It was not one of them things that I disagreed with him. We had a conversation about a week later after the Ohio State offer came, and I said this many times. It's one of the best, I believe, one of my best conversations I ever had with my son. Which is a simple couple questions to ask him, and basically I'm gonna cut it short. We got to the end, and he just basically said, "Dad, Ohio State was good for you, but Michigan. I think Michigan was gonna be good for me." And I made a decision. So, I said, "Hey, no more conversations about it. I'm gonna support him 100%. And let's go on a roll and make the best of the situation." Another thing I didn't want to do too, I didn't want to force him to go somewhere because I wanted to always raise him to be a man. And sometimes as a man, you got to put them in the right situation. He made a decision based on what he felt and the information he gathered and some information he gathered from us. And I didn't want him to if it didn't work out, because, everybody want to go and play. Everybody want to be successful. Everybody want to make it to the next level. College, and after that they want to go to the pros and then live life good and all that. But I didn't want him to use me as an excuse because of a decision that I forced him to do. I want him to go in there and fight for that position, fight for what he wanted to do, and go in that weight room, go in that classroom, do what he had to do, and don't run from it. So I supported him on his decision. Me and his mother, she didn't really care either way. The one thing I would say as a parent, once he got that first offer, I was happy from Toledo.
Right.
I said, hey, I knew I didn't have to pay for college. I got that first offer.
Exactly.
I was like, hey, cool. All right. So, I did give Mike one stipulation on the recruiting thing. A couple times he talked to me about Oklahoma and Arizona. I love Mike, but I wasn't gonna make no trip to Oklahoma and Arizona every weekend.
That's far.
So I was trying to ask him to be within 4 hours of Dayton, Ohio, if possible. So
yeah.
I went that Oklahoma and all that. He was talking. I said, man, I'm be honest with you, son. I love you, but I ain't gonna be riding every weekend. I definitely gonna ride. I definitely ain't driving to Arizona. All right, but that would have been tough on me, his mother, and the family. So he decided on Michigan, and then we took our visit up there. I really enjoyed it. Really, I thought Michigan was further up. I never drove there. I've been there at football games. But we always flew in from Detroit. But I thought it was like 4 or 5 hours. I didn't know it was only about two and a half hours away from Dayton. So that was convenient. So
let me say this to you. I appreciate you sharing, Mike. It's been Big Play Mike. I'm going to say, I think the record is somewhere around 14-2, 15-2, somewhere near in this turn of the century since 2001 in favor of The Ohio State University. And I'm here to give you your flowers as my nephew, but I'm also here to mess with you a little bit. I want to know honestly, Do you think under Coach Jim Harbaugh, and first, what was it like playing for Coach Harbaugh with his former quarterback background, being in the NFL and his pedigree, going to the big house? And we know Michigan, phenomenal university, and we joke about it on the football field, but outside of that phenomenal academic institution, what was it like playing for Coach Harbaugh? And do you think that moving forward, Coach Harbaugh is the one to lead Michigan to get that first victory, perhaps over the Scarlet and Gray?
So playing under Coach Harbaugh, it was totally different because I had Coach Hope for 3 years or 2 years, and
Coach Hope.
And he changed basically everything that not that we like built, but basically everything that we kind of knew almost. Mm-hmm. It was pretty good though. We had my first year, we went 8-5. Then the next year we went 6-7. So we didn't really have two good years. We had a decent year the first year, but his first year he came in, we only lost 2 games, and that was to Utah, Michigan State. But we lost 3 games: Utah, Michigan State, Ohio State. He came in and changed the culture a little bit. He kind of brought that NFL aspect to it, and some of that old school toughness that they used to play with back in the day when he was at Michigan, under Coach Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr days. And so he came in, changed the culture a little bit. We learned a lot from him, and he's put a lot of guys in the NFL that he's recruited and guys that Coach Hoke recruited. And he also helped develop those guys that was already there to get them to the NFL as well. So, and I think, honestly, I don't know. I think he can get it done. It's only so much a coach can do, you know. Sure. You can only prepare the team for the game, and the coaches got to call the plays, but the players got to make plays and put out, produce basically. I think it's coming in the future. I think since I've left, I talked to some guys that's there now, some of the players still, and I think the demeanor and some of the coaching staff changes is helping, just bringing back that toughness and that grit that we had when we played them 15, 16. When we played them from our freshman year. My freshman year, we lost by 1. My sophomore year, we were winning until the third quarter. Then one of our best players got towards ACL, and then that's when the game changed for us. 2015, they blew us out, and then 2016, 2015 was Coach Harbaugh's first year. 2016, we got cheated. I'm not even going. We all know, everybody know about that game. We should have won that game. It shouldn't even have been close, but we still should have won. 17, we should have won as well. We were up at half. Defense was playing well. We couldn't score in the second half. And then after those years, it's been a struggle. I think a little bit has to do with it. It's a few Ohio guys on the team.
Yeah.
It's not a lot though. I think that kind of has something to do with it. A lot of the guys are from Florida, California, Midwest guys as well. But when you get guys from Ohio and a lot of guys from Michigan, they know about the rivalry. Not even just Ohio State, Michigan, but they know about the Michigan State, Michigan rivalry, the Northern Michigan rivalry. So you get those guys that know about it more, and they want to be in it and they want to win. There's some Michigan guys on the team that I know that they know about the history of the game, and it's just not a lot of. I don't think it's a lot of Ohio guys. I can't even think of how many that are on scholarship. Probably about, I don't even know, but I think it's coming in the future. I don't know when. It could possibly be this year. I can't really speak on it no more. I'm handling business over here at Notre Dame. We're trying to go undefeated again, so trying to get back to the playoffs. So I don't want to speak too. Even though I'm an alum, but where I am now is where I'm.
You got to stay neutral a little bit, and I appreciate you sharing that. And we honestly, as Ohio State fans, we are even encouraged to see Michigan do better because what we want to do is see that rivalry get back to the days of when, like, your dad was playing and different things. We would love to see a competitive. No one wants to see it be an uncompetitive rivalry because it's actually good for the state of Michigan as well as Ohio when it's competitive. You know that. Right. It's a win-win all around. I appreciate you sharing that. Now, we'll get to you, Mike, in terms of your career now coaching at University of Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, and Coach Kelly and that particular staff as we move on. I just want to go back and forth because I got so many notes on you guys. You guys have wonderful resumes. Let me switch back over to Big Mike here for a second. Mike, you played for Coach Earl Bruce as well as Coach John Cooper. I believe it was near the end of your career. Having said that, with your career at Ohio State, first off, I want to mess with you about something. When you first got there,
you're gonna bring up this story, huh?
When you first got there, did you and our homie, your high school teammate, did you and Keith Byers, did you guys go head to head in a collision course on the football field like we used to, in a drill, which may have resulted in an injury or something for you?
Me and Keith, we're real good friends. We still talk to this day. But I always tell him, and I always said this when I was in high school, I always thought I was better than him. So I always, I thought I was a better tailback. I always keep on telling him that. But Keith, man, you got to realize he was a Heisman Trophy runner-up that year, my freshman year. So he had a great year that year. So we were in our last scrimmage at the shoe, and I was playing a little bit of safety. And then I transitioned back to linebacker, but I played safety. And I figured, hey, if I come up and put this thing on Keith Byers, maybe I might get a little PT. I might get to play on special teams or something. And I ran up in there. I got to realize Keith had a couple more years in high school and in the college than I did, and he won it. And yeah, I did mess up my shoulder. I did look up, and he run down the sideline. So that is true. But like I said, he rushed for 1,800 yards. He ran over a whole lot of people that year. It's not me. So
hey, listen,
that's true. But that happens. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you just want to win more than you lose.
Absolutely. And Mike, I just was joking with you about that because I knew it was true. And you got to be big and tough. You hear me? Listen, little Mike, your dad talking about big and tough. Fear nothing. And we know what Keith done in his phenomenal career. Like you said at the time, you're talking about the Heisman Trophy runner-up. Listen, what was it like also for you playing also with another native Daytonian at Ohio State? You played with him for a while as well. And also coach at Trotwood Madison now in Jeff Graham.
Oh man, me and Jeff we have a big brother, little brother relationship. I know we care about each other, we love each other, and we're really, really, really good friends. He's a couple years younger than me. So when he came there, he had to deal with some adversity, and we had to have some conversations through that adversity. And I knew Jeff always had a talent. I watched Jeff perform on the basketball court and on the football field, but I also knew his older brother. I used to go watch him play when I was younger. They called him the Wizard Graham. So I knew he came from a family of talent. So I didn't see him as much, but when I knew he got there and he was playing, they try to put some guys in front of him that I knew Jeff was way better than. I just told Jeff to stay patient, man. When we get to the Big Ten champion league, these guys ain't gonna be in front of you. And I knew Jeff had the skills to do what he did, and as a player, as a coach, man, it was really to see how he coaches, man. He really, I would say changed us a little bit. Brought a little bit more discipline to our high school when he came in. Mo did a great job, But when you got two guys doing it, one on offense and one on defense, it just made the place a lot better, a better place. And Jeff demanded excellent, and Mo did too. So now you got on the offense and defensive side of the ball with special teams. Then they just took them kids. You know, he had some people working with him to help him. You know, with Kerry Ivy helping him out, and some other guys, you know, and Duke and them helping him out. They kind of set a tempo up there of excellent. You know, work ethic. You know, do everything right. So you know, we still talk. We still have some days. You know, I still think I can coach because you know I did a little coaching. I try to tell them some things, you know, that I would do. But, you know, I understand they're going to do what they need to do. They out there every day with them kids, and I know they put a lot of time and energy into them and put some expectations. But me and Jeff see each other at least 2 or 3 days a week. You know, and we got a close relationship. And, and that's just the way it is. So I'm going to tell this one little story. Mike was a sophomore. We were playing the state semi. We was down by 21 points in the state semi. So we got back in the game, and it was like 17 seconds left. We was down, and we was on the 4 or 5 yard line. And I was in the box because I was helping out, you know, just up in the box. And so me, Jeff, and Kerry Ivy, they called a timeout. And we talking about what play to run. And both of them said, we're going to throw the ball to Mike. I said, oh, no. He's just a sophomore. Don't throw it to my son. You know, he ain't going to make, you know, he dropped this ball and we don't go to state. We had a guy named Antoine Gilbert that just was a phenomenal athlete, man, at the tailback. And then we had a kid named A.J. Jordan that was that wide receiver going to Wisconsin. We can throw it to him or give it to Antoine. And we had a senior quarterback and Marcus Graham, that's Jeff's nephew. I said, but don't throw that ball to Mike. So we went back and forth. And me and Kerry going, and Jeff said, hey, man, we throwing the ball to Mike. so he made the decision, you know, to calm me, Mike, we going to throw the ball to Mike. And then, you know, and fortunately, Mike made the catch. You know, I come out the box crying, oh, we're going to state, doo-doo-doo. I go see Mike, man, you just got the game winner, man. It's going to be a good night. And Mike said, man, did mama bring the cookies? I'm waiting to make cookies for me. I said, man, you just won the game winner. You worried about the cookies? He said, man, did she bring the cookies? That's all I'm worried about. You know, he said, like, okay, nonchalant about it. But, you know, that type of relationship we have as me, Jeff, and them, and Kerry, you know, I try to put my input in there, but they made a decision. They was the coaches. They made the decision, you know, and you know, it worked itself out. So that type of relationship we have. We can have some very difficult conversations and still get along the next day.
Yeah, and that's what real men do. They can speak about things and disagree and still get along, and that's what makes a championship coaching staff. I appreciate you sharing that, and we want to give another big shout out to Kerry Ivy and to his whole family, Carl, and you know, just everybody over there. Love those people, absolutely. Kerry, a phenomenal coach. Listen, for you, Mike, after Michigan, because you were a two-time honorable mention All Big Ten selection at Michigan, tell me about when you did take it to the house. How did that feel? Let's laugh for a minute. I know that had to be a good feeling. You did have an interception. You took it all the way to the house. How did that feel for you?
You talking about the Florida State game?
Absolutely.
Crazy thing is, we should have got blown out that game. We were down the whole game. They were killing us. We were tired. We were drained out from just bowl prep and the season, and trying to move on from that Ohio State loss. And that play kind of like sparked the comeback. You know, I think it was like we were down like 19-3 or something like that, I believe. And I don't know, just the crazy thing about it, me and the other guy, Ben Gideon, who's also from Ohio, I was supposed to blitz on that play. And me and him had a great connection and bond. Like, we didn't even have to communicate. So the running back was to my side, and we were supposed to communicate a switch, but we didn't even communicate it. We just did it. So I ended up taking the running back, and he ended up taking my blitz. And I'll always tell him I thought if we didn't have that connection, that play would have never happened. Like, and when it happened, it kind of ignited the team, brought some excitement to the game, and we ended up coming back after that. And we didn't win the game, but it kind of was a moment of like, I don't know. I was a senior and I had a chance to come back, and it was just a moment of we can win this game and come back next year and have a chance to win it again. And it was just one of those moments that I'll remember forever. And it was against a good team as well. So it was one of those moments that I remember forever.
Appreciate that. And that's why I wanted to highlight that and give you your flowers. Not every young man gets to catch, collegiate football in front of 80, 90, 100,000 people. Take it to the house. That's phenomenal, nephew. In terms of your career after the University of Michigan, you did something, and I want to clarify, was there any injury issues with you as well? But I know you retired young, and just want to clarify from because you have continued to play and pursue, because what you're doing now is phenomenal. You continue to make an imprint on young men's lives forever as a coach. But you were with the Miami Dolphins of the NFL for a brief stint. Take us through how that situation went about for you.
So I didn't have any injury problems. I was healthy. I was doing good. It was just different for me when I was there. It just wasn't the same for me as a whole. Just like I felt like I was a different person. I wasn't really enjoying it. It was just different for me. And so I just made the best decision for myself and my future. And that's just what it was. And
yeah,
I felt one reason I wanted to continue just because I felt like I would let a lot of people down. But at the end of the day, I had to realize like it was more about me than anything. And once I did it, I felt a lot better. And to this day, I'm happy. I don't regret my decision. I knew like the money would be good and there's a chance I could make a lot of money. But for me, money isn't like, it's a big thing because you got to have money to survive.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going to break me if I didn't have it, money would come eventually and I can take care of my family without playing in the NFL, and which I'm doing now, and I don't regret my decision. I'm happy with my decision. I'm happy today. Just living life, and this next phase of my life is coaching. And I spent 3 years at Michigan. Thankfully, Coach Harbaugh gave me a chance to be an intern. Then I became an analyst for 2 years, and then this year at Notre Dame as a graduate assistant. And I just feel myself learning and moving up, and I feel myself at 27, just turned 27 yesterday.
Yeah, happy belated birthday, nephew. That's right.
I feel myself taking strides to becoming a position coach and maybe next year, and just taking it all in and just enjoying life.
Yeah. Now, so you already took me into that question, which was coming near the end of the interview. But now we're there. Tell me a little bit more about that position at Notre Dame under Coach Kelly and that staff. Phenomenal program. We know at Notre Dame as well. You've been affiliated now with your dad's knowledge from Ohio State University on to your own at the big house in Michigan. Now to go over to, Fighting Irish and Notre Dame. Like you say, no need to hang your head, your hat. You've never done it. I've also know about you, your family man, your spiritual beliefs and things like that, Mike. And it's more to it outside of football when the game is over. And I just want to commend you and give you your flowers. You made a conscious decision and you clarified it for those. This will go down in the archives and we're going to have video with it for the world. Mm-hmm. It was just, I made my decision and I'm now a coach. I'm going to be a successful coach. Who knows? One day you may come back, you and your dad coach together. You may be coaching at, you may be the head coach at Trotwood Madison High School one day. You never know. We never know. Or you may be coaching collegiate, be at Notre Dame or somewhere in the NFL. But the scheme, I read something. Are they actually now giving you opportunity to work with the secondary at Notre Dame?
Yeah. So when I interviewed, Marcus Freeman is from Dayton, went to Wayne, and Mike Mickens went to Wayne, and they're both on staff here at Notre Dame. When I interviewed, they told me if I got hired, I would be working with the secondary because they know Coach Freeman recruited me out of high school when he was at, I think, Kent State, and he knows my dad, and we've always kept in touch ever since was getting recruited. And he knew that I know linebacker,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't want me to continue to work with linebackers because I worked with linebackers for 2 years at Michigan. 2 years at Michigan. I played at Michigan. I played linebacker at Michigan, and then 2 years worked with the inside and outside backers. And then last year I worked with the safeties because I wanted to learn something else. And that's what thing Freeman said. He was like, I know you know linebacker. I know you know the front seven. And he said, I think it'd be good for you in your future to learn the secondary. And so now I'm working with the corners and Coach Mickens, and I work a little bit with the safeties. The staff here is really great, family-oriented. Coach Kelly is a great person. He's down to earth, really likable. Ask about you, like not even talking about football. He'll come up to you, have a conversation with you. It doesn't have to be about football. And the whole staff is like that, and it's great to work for. I enjoy going in to work. It's not dreadful. It's just a great atmosphere to be in.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing that because that's where I was going next as well. Speaking of the coaching staff and Coach Kelly, etc. You elaborated on that. Can you give me a forecast? You don't have to put out too much information, but based upon the schedule, we know that Notre Dame has traditionally, been a school that walks by the tune of their own beat, for years with the non-conference affiliations and things. Very phenomenal, powerful Catholic institution. Can you say 10 wins, Mike? You think 11 wins, Mike? 9? What you think this season?
I'm saying 12.
Whoa! All right, y'all heard it right here, straight from the source with David Mitchell, Mike McCray Sr., Big Play Mike McCray. I should say this with the nephew and all that. I'm going to start trying to call you coach, but you always going to be nephew to uncle, okay? But listen, you really think you guys can go undefeated this year?
I believe so.
All right.
The way we practice in the spring and development we have, and we got some older guys that have great leadership, and we got some young guys that has great leadership and ready to take that step. I think we got a lot of talent to go undefeated again, like they did last year, and make a run at the playoff again.
Mike Sr., what's your outlook on the Ohio State Buckeyes this season? Do you have any predictions for the Buckeyes? Do you see potential playoff? Because when I speak of Ohio State every year, I don't expect anything but a playoff appearance. The quarterback position, let me hear your opinion on what the Buckeyes may look like this season.
Really, I haven't really been keeping in touch with them, but I did get something the other day that I can go up to practice in a couple of weeks as being an alumni. But right now, Ohio State is in a great situation. It's easy when they're recruiting at a high level. And, we talk about recruiting, Mike knows about it. He got to deal with it. But, it's almost like, you're just reloading right now. So, you might have a down year here or there because sometimes the maturity, some of younger guys you think can perform at a certain level might not perform. You know, they still got to adjust, but you believe they will if you do the proper preparation for them. So, you know, I always think Ohio State going to be in the hunt. I think they're going to win the Big Ten. I believe they're going to be, you know, I can talk all the trash now. You know, I believe they're going to beat Michigan. You know, I can do all that now. You know, like me and Mike right now, I'm just got to figure out what direction my grandson will go in. You know, I'm trying to make sure I hold on to him because, you know, it seems like my mother, wife, and everybody else, Michigan fans, now switch over to Notre Dame because we all got Notre Dame. But, you know, during that time period, you know, I was with Michigan too. And then when he coached there, everybody was with Michigan. So, you know, Ohio State always going to be Ohio State. You know, we're going to be us. We're going to do what we got to do.
Absolutely.
You know, we can talk like that right now.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And with that family dynamic now, with grandbaby coming up now, you got Mike going over to Michigan coaching. Going over to Notre Dame coaching now. Even Notre Dame comes into play now. I mean, you got 3 phenomenal institutions all in the McCray family household, man. I tell you, that's man, real proud of you, Mike Sr., from where you come from. I mean, this is just, you know, raising your family and you know, and them turning out the way that they're turning out. It's just a phenomenal message, because we know how the city of Dayton has so many phenomenal athletes and there's so many pitfalls. But for you to stay on the right path and the right track, you know, young Mike, we really take our hats off to you and the family for that. Oh, shout out Carl Mitchell is coming into the broadcast. We appreciate you joining in. Delwan Lamar, we appreciate you joining in. CC Copeland, we appreciate you chiming in. Mark Sutton, Big Mark, appreciate you chiming in. And I don't know who else. If I miss anybody, I'm so sorry. Now, let me ask you this. I want to give a few shout outs, right? And I just want you to, you know, whatever might come to your mind, Mike, whatever might come to your mind, Big Mike, I'm going to give a few shout outs here.
Right.
I also want to mention my cousin. I know he coaches in high school, Doug DeMar Spears. Want to mention Doug DeMar Spears, coaches at Meadowdale. Want to mention him as well. Always want to give a shout out to some of the young coaches. But now, here we go. Let's go over and get some shout outs here, you guys. All right. When I think of Rolfe High School, we're going to go to Rolfe first, Big Mike.
Okay.
Now, you know, Coach Haley, playing for a coach like, rest in peace, phenomenal Hall of Fame coach. What was that like? And then I'm just going to throw some names because I'm going to miss somebody. I don't want to make nobody mad. I'm coming back to you, though, Mike. Listen, when I think of Rolfe High School in my era and even before, you know, I'm just going to name, obviously, Mike McCray, who's on the show right now. But you know, there was Dwight Anderson, Donald Smith, the Tallies, Steve Smith, William Colston. Hold on, the Seldons. Hold on, the Hagans, the Thompsons. Hold on, the John Babies, the Big Spells, the Michael Cartons, the Ronald Hunters, the Fred Johnsons, the Ike Thorntons, the Lacey's, the Daryl Murphys, the Chucky Taylors. I know I'm gonna miss somebody, y'all. I just want to give a shout out. What was it like playing with those kind of players for a phenomenal Hall of Fame coach? Rest in peace.
Hey man, you said the squad right there, the 81 team from Mines, and you know, some people we're gonna have this argument. People say 87, you know, Dunbar. Some people say 90 C-Dub teams and some of the Jefferson teams. But that 81 team with I call them by their nickname. I call them Willie C and Chucky T. Willie C and Chucky T. And, you know, you got the Rainbow Launcher with Ike Thornton, Fred Johnson, Doe Murphy, man. And then you have that bench they had with Wesley Jones, Pookie Graham, Walt Selden, Steve Smith, and Keith Byers, man. That was a crew.
Did
man.
I not say Keith? Hold on, Keith out here.
Okay. Woo. All right. And you know, Robert Maiden, some other them guys, man, you know, that they could play that basketball and they played well together. They got along. You know, I still see them. You know, I ride my bike with some of them. I looked up to them. Yeah, I walked in as a freshman, man. You know, you see Willie C and Chucky T. They had that shag going. You know, the game day about to be right. They had it right, the line right. They had to go to work. So that was some great teams. I remember you missed another person, man. You didn't say nothing about Dirty Nelson either, man.
Oh, Nelson, yeah, right. Nelson.
About Dirty Nelson.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, you know. Okay. You didn't say nothing about the Lumpkins. You got them in there too.
The Lumpkins.
Okay.
So many.
Okay. All right. You got Larry Lee. You know, you got like
Larry
I said,
Lee.
Been some athletes. But playing for Coach Haley, I was very fortunate. I had 3 Hall of Fame coaches, high school. They all in the Hall of Fame, high school Hall of Fame. Randy Wagner, that got multiple state championship. Montgomery is in the Hall of Fame. Got so many wins, so many playoff appearances. But tough to make in the playoff back in our day and get to that state title because they only took 2 teams. And then you got Coach Haley. You know, they were all similar, but they was all different. But they all had something in common. They all knew how to win. And I tell everybody, you know, coaches nowadays, coach don't teach them this, they don't teach them that, they don't teach them this. The one thing I say, my coach might didn't teach me all the skills level, but they teach me some important things that I take care every day. They taught me how to win, first of all. Okay, they taught me how to win. So you learn how to win. You learn how to win in life. They taught me how to play hard. They taught me how to play hard and leave everything out there. And they taught me how to compete. All right, and you got to realize our kids got to compete for jobs and everything else nowadays. It's just not something going to be given to you. You got to go out here and compete. So I take them things with all 3 of them coaches. And they all were similar in that. They all pushed you, and they expected things from us. They expected to win. I'll be honest, they walked out there with confidence too now. They walked out there like, we know we're going to wear you out. So, that gravitates to all of us, and that was good. But I enjoyed them raw days. Man, I know I'm missing some people. You said Mike Carlton. A lot of people don't know who Mike Carlton is, but he go get you a quick 20 real quick.
Real quick.
Okay.
I know.
People don't know John Bailey sometimes, he was hard to deal with. I played with some guys that was even younger than that, once Rolf closed, you wouldn't know who they are. But there was always talent. I mean, open gym at Rolf, when the old school come back, and it'd be rough trying to you lose, you wouldn't get back on. All right, you walk up there and see a Cedric Tony walking up in there, and he's pulling up at the hash mark. They don't understand. A lot of people don't know Paul Thompson went to Ohio State. Okay, all right, he had that nice afro, was out there balling on football and basketball. Won the state on 76. When he on the 76 team, I think he was. He went to Ohio State. Yeah, he was on 76 and he went to Ohio State too. So a lot of people don't talk about him either, but he was one of them guys that did his thing too. So I know I'm missing some people, but there were some horses around at that time.
Oh man, Chicken Clarence Darden, want to shout him out from Rolf High School. I'd be remiss if I remiss my childhood buddy Clarence Chicken Darden. I know he golfs a lot. In fact, I think he golfs some also with Keith Byers. And I know you was recently with Keith and Selden and what, Chucky Taylor. I think what was you guys? Was you guys Daryl Murphy? Was y'all running, jogging? No, you guys was riding the bike or something?
Right, we were riding the bike. Chucky T. I don't think Chucky T was Doe Murphy and Pookie Graham, Walt, and Willie C.
That's good. Good to keep you in good shape, don't it?
Oh yeah, I like riding that bike. I just got into it last year, so I enjoy
it. Hey, Mike, big play, Mike. Take me over to Trotwood Madison right quick. And I'm going to mention some names, right? Now, I'm your uncle, so I'm older than you. So the name's going to come out. Maybe not resonate with you all the way, but you smart. You may, because your dad, be a historian of the game. So I'm going to name some, when I think of Trotwood when I was coming up. In order to be anyone coming out the city, and you went out to Trotwood when I was coming up, you had to play against one guy. And this particular family was the Snow family. Stevie Snow and Chris Snow. Chris, rest in peace. I remember when my brothers took me out, Ron Wilkerson, and we played in Trotwood, and my brother Bob played the Stivers in their Hall of Fame, took me to play against the Snows. And I tell you, I became a better player. Another player, when you think of Trotwood history, is Dwight Sistrunk. Okay? Dwight Sistrunk was a phenomenal two-way star in football as well as basketball. He could have went just about anywhere, went to the University of Iowa and had a phenomenal career. But anyway, I also have people on here. I think of Carl Johnson and Jeff Johnson, R.I.P. And I think of individuals like Chris Wright. You know, those are the names. And then Big Play McCray. Now, can you name some of the players that I may not be thinking of that came out maybe during your era that you like to give some shout outs to from Trouble?
My era, I would say my boy Trey, Bam. I'm gonna say their full name: Trey Williams Brown, Bam Bradley, Jared Clemens. Everybody call him Chunky. So many, I can't even. Marcus Graham, Antoine Gilbert, Trey Mobley, Dalen Bird, LJ Mosley.
And y'all still staying in touch, some of y'all, right?
Yeah. A lot of us are. Cam Burrows, Rion Dawson, James Winchester. It's so many more I can't even think of right now that I played with, at least.
Absolutely. Now
it was a lot for sure, though.
Now, Big Mike, when you were over at Ohio State, before we get out of here, you guys, I remember there were a few other Daytonians too that I want to shout out. It was Eric Foster from Patterson was over there with you, right, Big Mike? Him and Ken Coleman.
Yep, that's my boy. Kenny Coleman, that's my man.
Yeah,
that's my
Kenny
man.
Coleman.
You know,
Absolutely.
Kenny was the strongest man on the team, man.
Really?
At Ohio State. Oh man, he was strongest man. He was the strongest guy on the team. They used to get mad because some of them guys be in that weight room working out. I think some of them was on that juice too. But Kenny come in there and tell you he start off saying, man, put it on 405. He start off on 405. He'll start off on 405.
Out of metal there.
Out of metal there. He start on 405 and boom. Okay, man, put 450 on there. All right. He was just so strong, man, so quick. And Derek, man, Derek was a linebacker with me. So, I had to take Derek under my wing. He ended up moving down to D line, but he started off as a linebacker. So, our Dayton connection was close. We always been close. We always stayed in touch. We were close with the Middletown guys, me, Chris, and Sean Bell and Dwight Smith. We were close, with them. We had a little Dayton Detroit connection too. Pepper Johnson was Keith's roommate. My roommate was from Detroit, named Dino Dawson. So we all had this, we had this little connection. And we played well together. We partied well together. We went to class well together. I got to put that in there because I'm an educator.
Absolutely.
But them days were great days, even the high school days, the college days, and even me being at Trotwood for the last 20 years, Mike didn't say the name, but I remember Chris Snow. Yes. I remember Andre Hudson. I can go through some names for you. I can go through John Lumpkins, the Williams, the Chris Wrights. There's more. There's Greg Moore. It's so many. Mike Shaw, Brandon Moore, Israel Green. All right, there's so many guys that maybe not get the name, but I know they were great players because I watched them on Friday nights, and I know I'm missing somebody. But there's a list of athletes, man, that's always around this area. I mean, that's just what it is. That's across the United States. there's going to be athletes at all types of schools at all different places. The city ain't the way it used to be. You know, everybody's spread out now.
Yeah.
Different schools, but there's still a talent here, and there will always be talent in Dayton. You know, and I support all of them. You know, I want every kid to get an opportunity to get out of here, to get an opportunity to go do what me and my son done, have an opportunity to play college football or basketball, baseball, kickball. I don't know what it is, but just get out of Dayton and get exposed to some things different because it done well for me and my son. I got a brother too named Steve Wright that played in college. I got a cousin named R.J. Williamson that went to Michigan State, a couple years older than Mike. You know, right there, there's go 4 of us got education paid for. One of my cousins, you might remember. I remember Derek Bunch.
Yes, absolutely.
That's my big cousin. So
yes.
you got to realize, it has worked for us. You know, the system has worked for us. And we all doing well. So, getting out of Dayton, Ohio, and getting exposed to some things different really helped us expand ourselves.
Wow. Listen, but I got to take you over. We get close to the end here. There's a tradition for you that's so rich. Take me through the transition when you left Ross, Big Mike. Now you go to a school like Dunbar. We talking Paul Laurence Dunbar, for you guys listening, African playwright that I believe most schools around the country that are Dunbar are named after. Wonderful tradition. Some may argue, listen to this history here, Lil Mike, that the 1971 Dunbar Wolverine basketball team is arguably the greatest basketball team in Dayton, Ohio history. They never won a state championship. That team alone, Mike, had 8 Division I players on it. You hear me, Lil Mike? 8 Division I players on it. And I just want to shout out some of that Dunbar culture over there as well from people that I know of. First of all, we're going to say Mike McGray Sr. because he's on the show here. We also want to mention Cornelius Cash, the Cash brothers. We also want to mention Wild Bill Higgins, Bill the Thrill, Mark Baker, Paul Hawkins, Mike Haley Jr., Alan Wood, Rochester Dixon, Ron Guy, Mark Parker, Steve Tyndall, Johnny Cole, the Landers brothers. The list go on and on and on at Dunbar. You just left one great tradition. Now you're in another. What was it like?
Man, you said a whole lot of. You got Ricky Gates. You should have said all. You should have said all. You should have said all the Cole brothers.
Yes, I should have said all the Cole brothers. Exactly.
You should have said all of them. Okay. You said Paul Hawkins. You got that team with Paul Hawkins when you had my man number 30 just passed away. Oh my God. With Parker and them. You got them. You got the Gerald Freemans, the Rain Gaffneys, you know what I'm saying? Wild Bill brother played with me, Todd Higgins. So
yes, Todd, absolutely.
All right. And then 2000, they really went crazy with Daquan Cook and
yes.
And the Pogues and Andre Yates,
yes.
I mean, and Jaron Johnson's. I mean, there've been some athletes, man, that come out of that came out of that place. So you even got some track guys in there. We miss, Michael Jackson, my year, he won the high hurdles in the lows. Like I said, there will always be athletes, there will always be people that be recognized. I hear all the young boys want to compare this time to that time. I said you can't compare, man. Athletes are athletes during their time. They have their moment during their time, and that's their time.
Yeah.
They talk about LeBron the greatest. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think he's the greatest basketball player at all time.
Right.
That's what I've seen. So, I like LeBron, but that's in young boys. That's what they like. That's what they like. But we've just been very fortunate at these schools that I've been at that we done had a lot of talent. We done had a lot of guys go off and do some things. That played. Oh man, I got a guy that played with me and nobody never talk about now. Derek Blunden now. one of the big guards back in the day.
Six guard. You know, I know one.
Right,
yes.
Come on now. So I can always go back. You know, I can't miss him. All right. I got my Chuck Smalley with the pretty eyes. So, you know, so when we can talk about athletes all day, and I mean, truthfully, me playing here and then, you know, going in the 70s, watching when I was younger, and then coming back and being in education for 30 years in this area, I done seen a bunch of talented athlete males and females and during my time period. And be truthful, majority of them really work out and do something with themselves. We get a lot of negative feedback that kids are not doing things, but I totally disagree with it. You go pull the numbers, you'll see that most kids are going to school. Most kids are doing something with themselves. We concentrate on the negative stories more than the positive. So,
absolutely. We appreciate you sharing that, Mike. Now, in closing, I would just like to have a little fun before we go. You guys, tell us, like, what do you guys do, father and son? What's some of y'all hobbies y'all do together?
Man, we used to play Madden back in the day. I used to beat them bad when he was young. and, you know, I can't do nothing with him now. I'm scared to play him. You know, so you know, we just talk to each other. You know, me and Mike, you know, I'm a little bit more outgoing, Mike a little bit more laid back. You know, but you know, we talk and we hang out when we do something, you know. We usually got a little third wheel with us all the time, a little Kenny. But you know, we do things together, you know, just like anything else. But we, you know, we kind of talk trash to each other because he think he's better athlete than me. He think he's a better athlete than family. And you know, he's okay. All right. Good baseball player. He's a better baseball player than me, maybe. But you know, we still talk a little trash to each other. But
Big play, Mike. Excuse me, Mike. See, I mean to cut you off. But young Mike, are you into anything like golf at all?
So I've been wanting to learn how to golf, and I haven't learned yet, but I want to. But I'm into photography. We play a lot of cornhole here at Notre Dame.
Yes.
I'm becoming a beast. I just won some money yesterday from the
staff. Okay.
We had a little defensive staff cornhole tournament, so I'm getting nice at that. I still play video games with my boys from college and back at home in Dayton, and my cousins and stuff. It's just the way that I keep in touch with some of those dudes. Hang out with my son, my wife. I used to like going to the movie theater, but ever since COVID, I still watch movies at home. That's what I really like to do at home, watch movies. I like bowling. I'm pretty much all around guy, you know.
Now, in terms of you being young, and you mentioned your wife and you being a family man, we want to commend you for that. And you know, the man finds his queen. You know, that's it. You know, so much abundant godly, you know, gifts are placed upon you. Just want to continue to bless. Wish you and your wife and your family nothing but tremendous blessings. And I see he already got. I see you got the green and you got something on you wearing from Notre Dame now. What is that?
Little wristbands. It's a wristband.
Yeah, your little wristband. Those are nice. We want to continue to wish you phenomenal success at Notre Dame. Look forward to following your career as I continue to build my podcast and different things. I'm doing some things in recruiting too, Mike. I'll speak with you, Mike Sr., about that as well. The game is changing now. It's so global, and with all the movement and everything, Mike, as a coach now, being still relatively young at 27 years of age, again, you just turned. Do you feel it gives you an advantage starting out so young, being able to relate to the players as well as you learn your skills as a coach?
Yes. It don't even have to be about being young. I just feel like some coaches just have that's what they want. They want to be close to their players and they want to get to know them. They don't want to just coach them all the time. You have those coaches that just want to, I wanted to get you here. I want to coach you, and then that's it. But you also have some older guys that want to know who you are, want to know about your family, want you to come over and hang out. And then for me, that's the type of coach I want to be. I want to be one of those guys that a player can call me 10 years from now and invite me to their wedding, or they can come to my house during the season. They need a home cooked meal or something. I just want to be able to have that relationship with my players, and here at Notre Dame, it kind of is showing me that as well. They're really family oriented and they care about the players outside of football. And that's the type of coach I want to be too. So
you sound like you're gonna have sort of more almost an open door policy. You want the guys to be able to communicate, contact you, to basically be able to, as we live in an age now where mental health is so important, where individuals speak about that. And I think it's so important because that is a part of your mental health. When you have a relationship with a coach, and I know Mike Sr. can attest to this, coaches can be so influential in a young kid's life, like can either say something to you or maybe push you a negative way, but can also steer you in a direction that is so positive. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We listen to our coaches. We believe in our coaches. And so with you saying that, I like it because I always like coaches that you had an open door policy to, that you can pick up the phone and you can talk at any time. I appreciate it. I'm a networker, and I still got coaches, man, I played with, nephew, that I contact, man, from back in the 80s and stuff like that. It's also very important to always keep a good line of communication. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you guys so much for being on the show. Shout out Matthew Miller, Mike Sr. He said, man, you was the best player he ever seen back in Little League. And that's baseball.
Nah, I wasn't the best in baseball. Nah, it was a whole lot of people way better in baseball.
Hey, at that time, he saw you and he said, hey, I love me some Mike McCray. That's Matthew Miller. Corey Hoopinger. What's going on, Hoopin Garner? My boy Corey. We want to give you a shout out. We appreciate you chiming in. Listen, for all those watching, you'll be able to catch the show on different platforms. We appreciate you tuning in. Who is this? Who is this? Big Play Mike?
What up, boy?
This little big play.
Hey, little Big Play. Hey, little Big Play. This is Uncle over here.
Who is this?
Oh, my Lord. I tell you, Jessica say Drew. Jess said Drew.
Who's that?
Jess had to say Drew.
What up, grandson?
Look at them dogs, Mike. Look at them dogs. Little Big Play. Little Big Play. We appreciate you being on Straight from the Source, right? With Grandpa, Daddy, and Unc. We appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks for having me, man. Y'all, you have a good one.
We appreciate you. You guys take care. Mike, we be in touch. Best wishes at Notre Dame.
Thank you.
God bless y'all.
Bye-bye. I love y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
a 10-year-old founder of a company. Meet Carter, ladies and gentlemen.